Hello everyone, welcome to Sriram's IAS. So myself Shiva Shankari alias Shiva Ignatius. We are meeting for environment answer writing session. This is our first class. So I'm going to give an idea like how we are going to do this session. It's just a brief idea. Like we will be splitting this into 5 classes and the portions will be splitted accordingly. Generally, the first session will consist of all basic concepts related to environment, starting from the introduction part, okay, and then we will be doing the ecosystem based questions, all those ecosystems like forest or like in the terrestrial, as we have already discussed. If you have attended my crash courses, you would have definitely known about it, how I have separated the sessions. Same way I will be doing here. So not only terrestrial but also aquatic ecosystems like coral reefs, mangroves, wetlands will be included in this session. Then going to biodiversity, we'll be allotting a separate day for biodiversity, and then the environmental issues. So like climate change, global warming, ocean acidification, pollution, all this will be put under one session. And finally, like we'll be doing with the environmental impact assessments, okay, even environmental management, sustainable development goals, allied sectors like agriculture, energy relating to environmental questions will be discussed in that particular section. Okay, so today, like we will begin the session. How we are going to do? So some basic questions I'll begin with. Then we will also in between touch some complicated questions. That means something which comes in the newspapers and all. And then we'll be completing this session. Okay. So as if you observe the environment question, how it appears in the exams. Starting from 2016, the pattern is like the paper 3, as you would have observed it. The first 10 questions appears for 10 marks, and the rest of the 10 questions appears for 15 marks. The first 10 you have to represent in 150 words, and the next 10 in 250 words. This is how it comes. So mostly like one question from 10 mark, and at least it will be in pattern, one question from 10 mark and one question from 15 mark pattern it will be there. That is minimum 25 marks to maximum 45 marks you will be assured from environment session. So if at least the least you will get at least 25 marks, and if luck permits it will go up to 45 marks and sometimes even 50 marks like related to environment questions. So now we'll begin the question answer session. As you can see, the first question is this: the DPSP of Indian Constitution is clearly stating to protect and safeguard the environment and wildlife. In this context, discuss few initiatives taken by the government. Okay, so you have to discuss few of the initiatives taken by the government of India. I told you some questions are very basic. As you also go through the old question paper, you'll be finding question in this pattern only. Some questions are very, very basic. Some questions, even last year if you go, they were just asking about the protocols only, okay, related to the climate change. So it's very direct question and it's very simple questions, but sometimes a bit tricky question will be there. That means it's not tricky, but you have to definitely touch the facts, then otherwise you would have never able to represent answer in that questions. So this question is something which is very basic, and you will be able to write it, and it's very easy also, since they are not asking any specific schemes or programs. Anna. So that only we are putting as a bit complicated question from environment part. Otherwise, unless otherwise, like prelims, there will be no complications in mains. So here you can write, you can frame any schemes, any initiative, whichever you have learned. Anna. So the question is in that pattern only. That means for 15 marks you have to write, but you have to keep one thing in mind. They are asking the schemes, initiatives taken by the government to protect the environment, to protect the biodiversity, that is wildlife. Okay, so in that way you can split your answers and then give the respective programs. Even sometimes if you don't remember any initiatives, you can write about certain acts which was formulated by the government, but at least you have to give 5 to 6 different schemes, initiatives, or anything, whatever you are going to represent here. Okay, so now let us begin. Like, I have formulated an answer for you. So let me discuss that answer. Even you can frame your own answer for this question since it's a very direct question. See, I have just formulated in this pattern. I have brought 5 different schemes, small schemes, so that will be easy for us to represent, present our answers in the exams. So I started from Life Initiative. As we all know now, the life drive is going on in various departments, not only environment departments, but also the various departments of our government. So this is nothing but, it's an initiative which is proposed by Government of India during the Conference of Party, 26th meeting of Conference of Parties of UNFCCC. There only they have proposed it, and recently India launched it in the 2022 while celebrating World Environment Day. Okay, so there we have launched this initiative. What is this initiative about? So you cannot simply mention the scheme. You have to represent 2-3 lines about that scheme. Max you can write one paragraph, like around 5 to 6 statements should be there, and at least you have to give 3 to 4 lines. No, so when you are representing this type of scheme, what you have to write? They are just this is something which is talking about the conscious lifestyle people has to follow. Okay, so how they are going to reduce the wasteful consumption, and deliberate and mindful consumption has to be done instead of wasteful consumption. So this initiative is trying to promote circular economy. These types of words has to be there. Circular economy. Okay, that is, we all know, reduce, reuse, recycle, that we call a circular economy. So it's promoting that. And in order to achieve this, it has started as a movement itself, I can say. In order to achieve this, Government of India has created a network called Pro Planet People. Okay, Pro Planet People. It's a network which is created to which was created to generate awareness among the people that how they have to live a environment conscious lifestyle. Okay, so this way you can represent about Life Initiative. Then come to Nagar One scheme. This was initiated long back around 2020 itself. This was launched. So main intention of this scheme is to develop urban forest. So as we already have seen, various forms of urban forest and programs appreciating the urban forestry development has been recently also taken in India, starting from Miyawaki forest. This also appeared in prelims paper for you. So you can also mention that and all is coming under Nagarvan scheme, that is developing urban forest in the developing forest in urban areas. So that way you can just write mini at least 200 urban forest, new urban forest has to be created. That's the main intention of the scheme. And on this scheme is trying to promote like the tree cities of the world. That program also you can mention the tree cities. Okay, city of the world, the tag which is given to that particular city which is managing, which is trying to manage to develop the urban forest and maintain the urban forest. Okay, in that way you can mention some details related to Nagar One scheme. Then come to Mishti scheme. Same way, like Mishti, I already discussed in one of my lectures also when I was discussing about the green budgeting also. So Government of India has launched this Mishti scheme, especially to protect the mangrove forest, which is existing along the coastal as well as the salt pans. Since we are saying that it is to protect environment, you can diversify your view. So Life Initiative is generally to bring a behavior change strategy, to the people. Nagarvan scheme is for developing forest, but Misty scheme is for developing the coastal ecosystems, especially the mangrove ecosystems. And you can write some details about it. Okay, so and especially not only for protecting but also to develop new mangrove plantations near the coastal areas. As we all know that mangroves are acting as a fence for against the natural calamities and protecting the people and the coastline from erosion. So this way you can mention that for that separate initiative has been started by the minister by the government called Misty scheme. Then Amrit Dharohar. Amrit Daroha scheme, this also for the next 3 years they are going to protect the important wetlands which is there, which is in our country. So in that way we can say the Amrit Daroha scheme is also important. Like for example, they are going to cover the wetlands which is there, and they are trying to rectify the problems which is faced by the major wetlands, and then trying to bring back the health of the wetland. Okay, in this way you can mention some details about Amrit Darogar. Same way, Gopardhan scheme, some waste to wealth scheme. Instead of this, you can also mention Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Okay, there are also other schemes. So I want to mention sanitation as well as cleaning here. So generally, I mentioned Gobardhan scheme, which is trying to convert waste to wealth. At the same time, so waste is converted to wealth. That is, people is getting some livelihood opportunities because of this, and sanitation drive is also taken care of. So this is Swachh Bharat Abhiyan Gramin. Under that only Gobardhan scheme has been launched. Now, the Government of India is going to allot fund for this Gobardhan scheme, okay, to specifically clean the villages, because they are doing subtle burning and all, and then polluting the atmosphere also, the waste and all. It's just driven as waste, and it is lying there for a very long time, and it's also polluting the environment. And apart from, they are burning the waste and also polluting the air, so they launched this Gobardhan scheme. And apart from these initiatives which I have mentioned, you can also write about National Clean Air Program, even National Action Plan against climate change. There are some 8 missions. Even each mission you can take one mission you can mention here. So in this way, anything, it's up to you. So you can design and then discuss. Okay. So related to biodiversity, I have mentioned some three schemes here, like Project Tiger, since it's 50th celebration of Project Tiger. We all know that it was launched around 1973, specifically to protect the cat species, Bengal tiger, the Royal Bengal tiger, and then it expanded throughout the Indian forest. Especially, this got converted to a statutory authority around 2006 by amending the Wildlife Protection Act. Same way, International Big Cat Alliance. Very recently, India has proposed this and also launched it. And in order to protect all the 7 wild cat species, so we all know about it, right? Wild cat species, starting from the lion, tiger, leopard, snow leopard, cheetah, okay, and puma, jaguar. In this, 5 are present in India, because now cheetah has brought into India again. So we have 5 species. This way, you have to mention 2-3 lines related to it. So India is going to around 100 billion US dollar for the next 5 years. And in this, it has open, it has left open for the countries who are having this cat species can join this alliance, so that they can jointly share the information in protecting the cat species. Okay, that's the main aim of this program. So that way, India is leading this International Big Cat Alliance. Same way, red panda reintroduction. How you have to write about it? We all know about this red panda, a very shy and embarrassing animal. And previously, the ranges existed along the Himalayas and the northeastern states, but now it is very confined to the specific areas of Bengal. As you can see that now what we are doing, we are trying to bring this panda in captivity, and then we are introducing into the wild. So this program was again started in 2022. Even previously also this was done by the government of India, but in order to protect this red panda, since their fur is very much allowed by the Chinese people to make hat, so they are poached for that reason also, and even they are not able to survive in the wild. Okay, so this way red panda is threatened, highly threatened, and reintroduction program. You can mention few lines about that. So that's a very direct question. I already told you. You can also bring in different projects like Project Elephant. You can write, okay, or any other, even Project Crocodile. You can write. So Great Indian Bustard. Like this, any programs related to any wildlife species, protection of wildlife species can be brought here. So this is a very basic and general question. Now we'll move to the next question. And before that, you all know Sriram's IAS is on Unacademy platform now. So we have started the very recently a batch has been started on 22nd June. So you can join with us for your preparation to travel with the renowned faculties, and it will be very much helpful for your preparation. Okay, and to secure the top marks in your exams, right? Come to the next question. See this. This about various environmental factors which affects the life of flora and fauna of a region. This is second question, I can say. So how we are going to discuss this? This is a very, again, a simple question only. If you understand the question, it's very simple. So what they're asking us to discuss about the various factors which is present in the environment, which is affecting the life of plant or animal, flora and a fauna of a region. So what are those factors which is going to affect the life of flora and fauna of a region? So first you can follow this diagram. So this diagram helps you to understand what are those factors which are existing in the environment, which is affecting the the development of a species, and even the flowering cycle, and the distribution, the richness, abundance, and all these factors is divided by these factors only. So what you can do, you can also draw a diagram of this. If you have known, if you have already done, then you will know about this. See this, the climatic factors, and you have to just describe two sentences under each factor. Just two sentence, at least three. Like you have to mention that how it is affecting the vegetation. So first, let us take the aerial factors. How aerial factors are going to affect life. Either it can be a plant or either it can be an animal. In that first, start with light. How light is affecting? As we all know, light is a very important deciding factor for the synthesis of food, especially the producers. We can synthesize food. We are dependent on the producers for food, or we are dependent on the heterotrophs. We are all heterotrophs, but they called us there are something called as autotrophs. For them, light is very much essential for the preparation of food. Otherwise, life will not exist in the air. So this light, the variation intensity of this light decides how the vegetation is distributed. That's why you can see in the tropical areas is abundance with variety of species than the polar areas. Okay, so that's how light decides the development of the species as well as the distribution of the species. Okay, and more often here there is another factor called transpiration also, which may be higher or lower depending on the intensity of the light. Okay, so this way, that transpiration means how much water getting released out from the plant parts, as we can say. So this way light is deciding related to vegetation. Even it is affecting the animal life. How it is affecting? The way an animal is deciding, like whether it has to stay in a cave or it has to be wandering around the wild. It all depends on the light. As we all know, some animals have nocturnal habit. Some animals are diurnal. They come only during the daytime. Some come only during the night time. It all depends on the light, because the way they are, they have that kind of adaptation mechanism in their body. So in such a way, this light is deciding not only the distribution of the animal also, but the reproduction pattern in animals and all their process, the circadian rhythm, the entire body, how it function, it depends on the light. Same way, temperature. When you're mentioning about temperature also, you have to touch that. Temperature decides the distribution of animals, as we all know, because some organisms are able to survive in a very hot temperatures. If you are taking even last year prelims question is that only. Some microorganisms are found in even hot springs, even extremely cold places like snow-capped mountains. You can find some microorganisms. Especially if you go and analyze, that will be a bacteria only. Even a very hot desert also they will survive. In an extreme cold condition also they will survive. So based on the temperatures also, the variation of vegetations as well as the distribution of animals happens. So there are kind of organisms which are having certain type of adaptation to live in desert type of situations where there is rapid fluctuation of temperatures. I can say temperature ranges. This way you can say that temperature also decides the distribution of the plant, as well as the productivity and the growth of the plants is also affected, and same it appears for the animals. Come to rainfall patterns. Rainfall seriously decides what type of vegetation should prevail in a particular place. That's why when we are deciding, when we are talking about a forest or a desert, okay, or a grassland, we will first touch the rainfall only. So depending on the rainfall only, that place is either occupied by dense forest like a rainforest, or it is the just by a woodland, a grassland, or a desert. So all it depends on the rainfall pattern, the precipitation pattern. Then humidity of air. Again, humidity is very much important for the growth of certain of plants. Like you go to a equatorial forest, equatorial forest is a rainforest. You can see that there is a certain kind of group of plants called epiphytes. Epiphytes. These plants only take moistures from the air. They will not be fixed in the root is not fixed in soil, so they grow everywhere and they take moisture from the air. So this kind of plants only can survive from humidity. Okay, even a cloud forest, which we have discussed, it's making their the water, so through the humidity of the air only. Same way, the atmospheric gases is present in the atmosphere also decides that how the climate has to be in the particular places. Based on that only, we are having a temperature variations in various places also. Not only this, come to the next factor called as topographic factors. How topographic factors affects the plant and animal life? The altitude, the height. When you are at the base of the mountain, a very we all know about Himalayas. So let us take Himalayas. When you are at the base of Himalayas, you'll be finding different kinds of plants and different kinds of animals which are surviving on those plants, and they are abundant also compared to the peak. Okay, they are rich also. Even one species you take, the richness is high, variations is so high. But when you move from lower altitude to higher altitude, everything decreases. Okay, and even the latitude also decides what of vegetation has to present in a particular area. Like for example, in the tropical zone, as we know, it is filled with very variety of organisms, and as you move from the tropical area towards the polar region, you find variations, less variation in the diversity is very less, richness is also very less. Okay, so this way the topographic factors you can explain how it is affecting the distribution of plants. Okay, and even the edaphic factors, you can say the soil and the soil properties also decides what type of vegetation can grow in the particular places, and how this plants, what are the animals which can rely on these plants will survive in that particular place. All are decided by edaphic factors. How? As we all know, the rainforest, which is having highly fertile soil, once it is removed, fertility will be lost. Otherwise, it is rich in nutrients. As we all know, it is filled up with decomposers. So when this kind of soil is there, it will support a dense vegetation, a dense forest. When you go to a desert, there is lack of nutrients, but mineral content is high because decomposers are less. Okay, so here what happens, since that soil fertility is less, very scarce vegetation will prevail. Okay, only those kind of trees which have a very deep roots, extensive roots, and they go and they can extend their root to any extent to absorb water. These kind of plants and vegetations only will be supported. Then again, the biotic factors, that what kind of organisms is surviving in a particular place will decide what kind of other organisms can survive along with them. Okay, so because of the factors like competition, we all know, no, we would have already discussed about this in the interaction chapter. Competition. Okay, not only competition, but also the mutualism. Okay, so one organisms can support another organism, it requires the help of another organisms, or it supports the other organisms, or it is depending on the other organisms, or it doesn't want the other organism, in the name of competition. So in this way, it tried to grasp the resources of the other organisms, other species, and make them push them to that extent that they cannot survive in that particular location or place. Okay, so this way you can discuss the various factors which are affecting the distribution of flora and fauna in a particular place. So this is the second question as we have discussed about it. We'll move to the next question. See, this is a bit different question, but almost 5 times in UPSC in the main section, they are asking something related to green, the concept of green. So that's why I have to pick this up and then put what is meant by green skills. So I just asked green skills. Okay, so what is meant by green skills? Why we need green skills? Can you explain the initiative taken by India in green skill development? So this is a question. Because previous year's question they have asked about green GDP, green GNP. This question has come. Even I have already discussed in one of the video about green budding. You can also refer that. So I have not made that as a question for you here. Instead, I have made a different question about green skills because now we are giving more importance to green skills, and even in a green budget, I told about green skills. Remember that when I was discussing in that session, I told you we are going green everywhere. So green skills we said. Even in the UPSC question, you would find about ecotourism. That's something which is related to again green only. So this way, this concept is very important. So I have given this question. What is meant by green skills? So first you should know what is green skills, right? So what is green skills? See, those skills which are very much required to train a person to earn a green job. So that might be a question, what is a green job? That means those jobs which are taken by the individual in order to protect the environment. The job you do does not harm the environment. Instead, it should protect and it should bring a sustainable management. Okay, a sustainable development. So those are called as green jobs. And the skills which are required in order to train an individual to take that kind of jobs are called as green skills. Okay, so as you can see these are the skills which are needed to adapt the products, services, process, everything. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're manufacturing, it should be eco-efficient in nature. Whatever service you're providing to the people, it should also be in the eco-friendly manner. And whatever the process you are following in order to, do something, to achieve some goal, that also should be in go green manner. So this way we are always being friendly to the environment, and then that's why we are that these types of skills will make a person perform such type of functions in adapting the products in making a product a service and process which is friendly to climate, it is friendly to environment, and that's called as green skills. Okay, so now we are now moving from the previously the job, normal job to a green job. So every sectors is trying to manage in that manner. That's why when talking about the LT, LED, and when India was moving towards the target of net zero carbon around 2070, we are slowly progressing. So various sectors starts to go green. So even railways, you take electrifying the transport sectors especially, including the railways. We are talking about moving from fossil fuels to the biofuels, or the fuel efficiency is increased. So that kind of jobs which a person is involved is called as green job in order to make a hybrid vehicle. So all these are not polluting the environment. And even when trying to manufacture such a product, he has to use green processes, like less, fuel, less energy, less waste should be generated so that pollution is down. So this way we are saying green skills are that which has to be occupied in every sectors at all levels in the workforce. So that's why we are saying this green skills as any definition you can use. I have used all these terms, all these statements, you can use anything. It's a knowledge, ability, it's a value, it's an attitude, anything you can say, which is needed to live and to develop and support a, product, again, a process or a service, which should be always friendly with the nature. Okay. So this first question we have answered. So here there are three parts. One is what is meant by green skills. So how will you answer this question? First thing is very direct. It's a very simple question. So you have to just say what is meant by green skills. A definition is more than enough. Why we need green skills? Now we are going to say the importance of having green skills. For that, what are the points which you have to note? Main thing is that it is trying to preserve the environment, protect the environment, restore the environment, conservation, mitigation, restoration, all this can be done. A person is skilled in the green manner, so that he will try to take a job which is also a green in nature, and in this way he will try to protect the nature. Okay, so that way we can reverse the damage also which we have already caused to the environment, right? So we can say that preserving and restoring generally, and also and we have done that, not only protecting the environment but also protecting the biodiversity. Since because once you protect the environment, habitat is protected. The habitat of a particular organism is also protected, are restored. So in such a way that biodiversity will also get protected here. Not only that, we are trying to reduce energy uses. Okay, so that's what we call as the renewable, the conventional energy sources like fossil fuels. We repeatedly extracting it, overusing it, and we have also released a lot of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. So this and all can be reduced, and even waste generation can be minimized. Pollution load will also get eased. Okay, so this way we can say that green skills will always lead to low carbon economy. Okay, so it will drive us towards the goal of achieving zero carbon, right? So these are the needs. We can say that why we need green skills. Now the third part of the question is, can you explain the initiative taken by India in green skill development? So what you will do, you have to remember about a scheme which India has introduced. That only we are going to discuss here. So they are asking about green skills. So the initiative which was, introduced, yes, introduced by India is this program, the Green Skill Development Program. Okay, Green Skill Development Program. So this was introduced by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change only. Especially the hub, ENVIS. I hope you'd have known about this ENVIS, Environmental Information System. We call this as ENVIS. And they have hub, that network completely. So they try to introduce this Green Skill Development Program, and mainly this initiative has been launched around 2017. Okay, so this year it's very important. Year's classification is also, it's very important. Mainly related to the environment as well as the forest sector. The green skill development in the environment as well as the forest sector. So this scheme, it aims to develop mainly the green skill workers. They are trying to educate them. The scheme is trying to educate a person related to greening jobs. To take how to take green jobs, how to go green, how to work green. This way they are trying to train the people. Okay, and especially the youth is trained in this particular program, so that they can get employed in such a job. Okay. Also, they can go self-employed also. They can also start a business, but always keep this in mind, go green in nature. Okay, so this way they will be, through this program, they are trying to achieve the NDCs, that nationally determined contribution. We say no, NDCs, nationally determined contributions, even sustainable developmental goals, SDGs, the National Biodiversity Targets (NBTs), as well as the waste management rules 2016. Waste management, we have no the plastic waste management rules, the amendments in 2022. All this will be attained when we are trying to do green skilling of a person. So this question, this much is enough. So the question is, although it's three parts are there in this question, is also a very direct question only. If you know what is green skill, you would definitely you can answer for this one. So you know how to write for about green skills. And generally, why we need green skills? Everybody try to frame an answer, even though you have not read anything related to green skills. You can try to frame some answer because we all know if a person is trying to get skilled in the green manner, then he will try to opt for green jobs. That way, the negative impact of climate change or the damage to the environment can be rectified. So, this way, you have to frame some answers. And how will you explain the initiatives? If you read about the initiative only, you will be able to answer. That is why I told you in UPSC, sometimes this type of, that is especially the environment section. Okay, sometimes complicated question, no, the complex question will come. This is example of that. They will ask some schemes or programs directly. If you have read about it, then you will not be able to answer that question. That's why we think this is a bit tough question. Otherwise, it's very easy. Now we go to the next question. Okay. Yes. So before entering into the next question, you can also see that already I have said about the foundation courses thing, and the optionals is also going on in Sriram's. All the optionals, most of all, the popular optionals and all is going. And again, like very recently, they have started the geography optional as well as the anthropology optional. So you can join with the experts for your learning with the respective topics. Okay. Now come to the next question. See, this question is bit. I have touched the current affairs from current affairs. I have just named this question because one time they have asked about forest fires. Nobody expected that that year it would come. But in preliminary part, they asked, they framed up related to fire. Okay, and very often you will be finding this fire word in the succession unit only, where they will be asking why a grassland is not getting converted to forest and so on. So these types it will come as an option. Okay, but here framed a question like forest fires are becoming more frequent and fierce in various parts of India. How forest fire pose threat to biodiversity? This is your first question. Suggest few steps to not only minimize instances of forest fire but also to protect our biodiversity from such an event. So this is a question. So now I'll go again. So what this question is about, this question is something which is talking about forest fires. Very recently, a lot of articles got released related to the forest fires, which is damaging the unique ecosystem of the Himalayas, especially the Uttarakhand. So there, this article, this question was mainly related to that article only. That's why the question itself is saying forest fires are becoming more frequent and fierce in various parts of India now. How forest fire pose to biodiversity? That is your first question. Second question, suggest few steps to not only minimize instances of forest fire but also to protect our biodiversity from such event. Okay, so now let me begin the first part of this question. How forest fire pose threat to biodiversity? How and all it can harm a biodiversity of a particular area? You have to address both the flora and fauna. Yes. So how will we discuss this particular first part? If you have read something related to fire and the damages caused by fire, the forest and the forest ecosystem, then only you will be able to answer this question. So that first I like to address the complete the factors. You go back in this session also we discussed about the environmental factors. Do you remember? The factors which decides the distribution of vegetation, or like this we have discussed, right? Same way, this fire is trying to alter the environmental factors. Completely is trying to alter the environmental factors, like starting from the rainfall, okay, even the cloud formation, even the sunlight, okay, and also already we have discussed about the rainfall precipitation, but also the soil fertility, soil humus. Okay, so this you have to write, definitely write this point called as soil humus. Okay, so this way the fertility of the soil is also affected. How? Why I'm saying like that? You know, the humus content of the soil, that means the dead organic matter which is present in the soil, makes the soil fertile and makes the soil enriched with nutrients. I already told this previous also, that the fertility of the soil varies from places to places. You take a rainforest, the soil of the rainforest, because of the abundant vegetation which is there in the forest, and frequent falling of leaves which reaches the floors, and the animals, lot of animals which depends on this forest, they die, they have to be decomposed. So there will be soil organisms, soil dwelling microorganisms and soil dwelling organisms. There are two different, no, one is soil dwelling microorganism, another is soil dwelling organism will be present in the forest floor. This will decompose the dead matter, and that is called as humus. Humus, because this is very important in nutrient cycle. That is how the nutrients and all is cycled, no? So the humus will decide the fertility of the soil. If there is less humus, then the soil is less fertile, and if so, it is highly fertile soil, we can say. So then what happens? This fire is damaging everything. When it's damaging the vegetation which is living in the forest, it also damages the undergrowths, the soil living organisms, and the human content which is present in the soil. Everything is completely burnt out. Okay, so that's why we are saying it has changed, it has altered the completely the environmental factors, starting from the climate, aerial factors to the soil. Everything is affected. Even the water, if it is present, it is also, the quality of water also gets deteriorated because of the ash, ice, and then which covers the water surface. So this way we can say completely the environment is polluted. Also, the climate factors is also altered. Okay. Then not only this is a major impact of fire. Second, it normally plays an important role in removing the competitive species. I already told, when species are competing in a place, you know, they compete for resources, they compete for water, space availability, for when you take a plant, sunlight, everything, huh? You take a plant, but when you take an animal, they compete with each other for the resource which is present in the forest. So now what happens when the fire is happening, the competing species, the strongest one will survive, the weakest one will be completely wiped out. So now this is completely altering the environment of the particular place. We already said that environment also is completely altered, because previously in that place two different organisms would have survived. You know, for example, I'm saying not only two different organisms, many types of organisms will be living. But now the one dominant species is surviving, other one is wiped out completely. So in this way, it is a natural factor in removing the competition. It also decides what kind of vegetation will survive in that particular place. Okay, it tries to maintain a ecosystem in that level. For example, grassland as a grassland. Okay, so some plants, some types of plants, unwanted plants, I can say, are also stimulated to growth by the fire, which is there, which is lying dormant in the soil, which is not helpful for the fertility of that particular places, will get stimulated to growth by fire. This is another important problem. And we even there is a type of fungi which grows in this type of soil called as pyrophilous. So they only live in burnt soils. And also, if you see, when fire is happening, there will be a direct loss of vegetations, there will be direct loss of wildlife. Okay, and what happens, the wildlife will start to move from one place to another, the place where they are surviving, from there they will start moving to another places. And even different group of species which does not belong to that area may come and colonize this area, and that way the complete fact environment of that area will be completely altered. And especially this will be unwanted species only, like the alien species which we discussed, the alien species which comes from different parts. When they come to that area, they will occupy, they will completely steal all the resources which has been shared previously. Previously in that places, different types of endemic species would have survived. They would have shared the resources. They would not harm each other. They will have a limited occupation in that area. But now what happens, the alien species spread enormously. Like for example, cane toad. Previously this toad was brought by the farmers, okay, in order to protect their fields, sugar canes, they brought this toad, so it's called cane toad. Later what happened, they are poisonous toads. So they used to eat the insects which try to destroy the farmland. But later they started feeding on good insects also, and those animals or those organisms which tried to feed that also died, got poisoned and died. So this is a major problem which is happening in the environment because of the introduction of alien species. Even for example, in India itself, you can take very popular example, Prosophis juliflora. It's not. It's look like very cute name, but this tree is not so beautiful also. When you use this one tree in one particular place, very quickly they will occupy the entire area and create a lot of damages to the native species or the endemic species of that particular area. Okay, so in that way, completely they will be affected. They will not get access to any resources, water, everything. But these trees have a very extensive root. It will go deeper inside, and then they will absorb all the water which is required for the other plants to grow also. In this way, this is completely creating havoc to that particular area. So it also meddles with the life cycles of the species, because when a tree is there and a fire has happened, sometimes the trees which get damages, the foliage, the leaves, the part of the plant gets destroyed. What happened, it life cycles also get destroyed, because the burnt area is not able to produce anything, and it will not support the entire plant. In this way, we can say this is meddling with the life cycle of the species. And also this will try to push the make the particular species, the endemic species, extinct also. If fire is happening in a particular area, that particular organism which is endemic to the particular area will not say, okay, fine, we'll move from here because we are facing fire here, so we cannot survive hereafter. We'll move from this area to another area. They cannot, because in that area they will be able to survive with the prevailing conditions, the climatic conditions, the soil factors, the vegetation, everything will support that particular kind of organisms. So they cannot simply just go away then come back again. So this is problem, and that type of species will go extinct. Okay, and the seed bank also get completely damaged. Seed bank, like whatever seeds, because we man has started cultivating the crops, everything by collecting the seed from the nature only, that we call a seed bank. So nature is a environment is a natural bank, I can say. So that also gets damaged, and loss of keystone species also happens, like the pollinators, important pollinators, decomposers, all are affected in this. And this also affects the development of the forest. So very soon, very easily, when a fire has happened, the forest will not come back, as we have discussed in our classes and all. When a rainforest is completely destroyed by fire, you cannot bring them back very easily. It takes years and hundreds and hundreds of years in order to develop again a rainforest. Okay, that way we can say the loss of keystone species. So this first answer is this. So I'm expecting this to happen anytime. That's why I've given an elaborate answer for this fire related issues. When a fire is happening, what and all consequences it will create in the environment, how it is affecting the biodiversity in the environment. That only we have seen. So come to the question. This is the first part. So in this, you can just pick 5 important points and state it in your answer, when you're giving an answer. The second part, suggest few steps to not only minimize instances of forest fire but also to protect our biodiversity from such an event. That means you have to give another 5 points important. So there are 5 points, here 5 points. That is more than sufficient. So you have to just at least 5 steps to minimize that these kind of accidents, no fire accidents, to that. And along with that, when you are addressing the points, you have to keep one thing in mind, that you should say some point which is there, which is trying to protect the biodiversity also. Okay, in that way you have to give your answer. So now we'll go to the second part, how we are going to answer for this question. See, measures to combat this forest fire. This is also important. So read and keep this nature havoc and also man-made problem. Okay. So how will we stop this type of forest fire related problems? First, to collect the fuel load on time. Okay, fuel load should be collected on time. For example, pine needles you take. When you go to this forest in the Himalayan ranges, you'll find pine needles lying in the floor and dried leaves. All the other forest also has dried leaves, down. So these two are mainly responsible and the prevailing conditions, the climatic conditions all joined together will affect, will try to induce fire in a particular area. So that's why we have said that collection the fuel load, that is especially pine needles and the dried leaves, should be done on time. Even now, government is trying to chase this pine needle. As you would have seen that little women's will go to the forest. They will collect the pine needles from the forest. They themselves try. Nowadays SHGs are also acting, so they try to give training to the local village women that how well they can make use of this pine needles to make new products and sell it in the market, okay, where they can earn a lot of money. Apart from that, government themselves are purchasing these pine needles and converting this waste wealth. Okay, so that you can say to collect fuel load on time should happen in order to avoid these kind of fire accidents. Fixing a fire line with the help of locals. So what is this called as fire line? Any idea? So if you go to a forest, okay, it's not a line which is created there. They go to a forest. They will clear a patch of land vertically. They will clear and keep. Very frequently in those places and all fires are occurring means they will clear a patch of land and call that as fire line. So when fire starts happening, they will try to go and combat that fire. They will not allow to spread the fire to the next area. So for that purpose, they will clear that area and call as fire line. So that's why we are saying that it has to be checked then and there. Since the main reason that there are no adequate forces in the forest department, this cannot be kept in check. But for that only we have said that help of the local people is important to fix this kind of fire lines. Then install fire watch towers. So this is important so that the frequently affected areas, when you are installing watch towers, you can easily see it at starting time and you can prepare with everything to stop this fire. So fire watch towers are very important. And next is supply of compensatory fodder. What is the supply of compensatory fodder? See, the real problem I told you, naturally also the fire happens, and the fire is also made anthropogenically. That is, humans also create fire. Very usually, I told that when I was discussing grasslands in the classes, I used to say that this grassland in India is mainly maintained as a grassland. How in Africa, this was asked in UPSC preliminary question, savanna grassland they have asked. How savannas is maintained as a grassland because of a particular species, like elephant, which is present there, is maintaining a grassland, and that's why it's called as a keystone species. But in India, mainly all the grasslands are maintained as grasslands by humans themselves. They try to fire the grassland. So, they clear the patch to cultivate the land. Okay, for agriculture they will use. Same way, here also, apart from doing slash and burn agriculture in the forest, what they're trying to do, they're clearing the area of forest, and so that the fresh fodders, for the cattle will appear. Grasses, once when a patch of forest is cut down, what will happen? Immediately, the tree species will not appear in that area. Tree species will not grow. What will grow there? Grasses are the first one to occupy that area. So that's why, to bring new grasses in that area, these people try to fire the forest. So that's government has to take initiative in order to give fodder to the cattle. Compensatory fodder has to be. That's why we have mentioned this as compensatory fodder for the cattle. Then ex situ conservation of high value and threatened plant species has to take place. So we know what is ex situ conservation. When we are talking about conservation, there is two types of conservation. One is in situ, another is ex situ. In situ is within that site you are going to conserve the plant species or animal species. Ex situ conservation is somewhere that you're taking them outside of that particular area where they belong, and then you grow them. See what happens in this fire, important ecosystems like even medicinal plants. Lot of plants which are there in the Himalayas is cured to cancers, is cured to diabetes, is cured to the TB, all these things. So when this plant is trying to flower and propagate, it spread that area. During that time, fire often happens. So then what happens? This plant will not be able to grow again. So these kind of plants has to be protected. How will you protect it? So important species has to be identified, and ex situ conservation has to be done in order to protect these species. Okay, so this way you have to address this question. So this question is like how you are going to, what are the problems you're facing due to forest fire. Second, what are the measures you're going to suggest to combat this forest fire, the safeguard the biodiversity. Okay, so based on that, we have given the answers. Now we'll move to the next question. National Action Plan to Combat Desertification and Land Degradation through Forestry Interventions. Explain. So, when this type of question comes, how will you able to frame an answer? So, there it's a very it's a way it's nowadays a lot of initiatives has been taken. Very recently, a new initiative was also introduced by the ministry in order to in order to fulfill this action plan only. We all know about UNCCD, right? This we have already discussed in the classes. The United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, and based on that, we have already started action plan to combat desertification. And we know what is desertification also. When a land is losing its fertility and getting converted to desert, that we call as desertification. So this action plan to combat desertification is already there, desertification and land degradation. But through forestry interventions, that only we are going to explain. So how we are going to do it? So for this, we can start first with agroforestry. The first program which we can give focus is agroforestry. Anytime question can come from agroforestry also. Sometimes even they may ask about agroforestry. So what is agroforestry? Yes, mixing of, yes. Aha. Yes, Gaurav. Yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, I was just giving an idea about the question. Fine. So for this question, as Gaurav has asked, we'll also discuss intro and how we have to start this question, how we have to end this question. Okay. So since these questions are very direct, first you have to begin with how this particular action plan has been started by India even before a decade to combat desertification and land degradation. Okay, so we started a program in order to spread awareness among the people that how what way they have to follow in order to reduce this degradation factors, and also how you have to start. You have to say that this action plan has been started before a decade in order to address the desertification and land degradation and related drought issues. But very recently, India has, when it has submitted the LTLEDs, LTLED, that is long term low emission development strategy, has been submitted to UN. So when they made this LTLED, there was one point also brought under LTLED. The one target is expanding the forest cover. So how they would expand? Already, because of deforestation, lot of land has become degraded and get converted to desert. For that purpose only they brought this in order to it is one in one stone we say two mangoes. Same way here they are using this program to develop forest at the same time to address land degradation. So that purpose only very recently this was extended through forestry intervention. Okay, in that way in the intro part you have to just say how this idea has come. Then you have to start explaining with the programs which is there to address the desertification and land degradation through forestry interventions. For that, we will begin with agroforestry. How, what is agroforestry? Anytime this can be a direct question also for you. So you have to say when you are doing cultivation farmland, instead of only cultivating the crops, you can also plant some trees between into the cropland. Along with the growing of animals and crops, you can also plant trees. That is called as agroforestry. Okay, so this agroforestry is very important because it is also increasing the tree cover, but at the same time is also increasing the production for a farmer, livelihood and income options for the farmers. Along with that, it is also going to give lot of benefits. Okay, so that's why agroforestry is an important initiative which is taken by the government of India in the aim of combating the desertification and degradations through forest intervention. This is one such plan. So what are the benefits you are going to receive through agroforestry? As we have already said, so when you're writing an answer for this, first you have at least two things has to be explained. You know, two interventions is more than enough for this because there are not enough. There are not lot of examples for through forest intervention. As of now, two there, so you can mention this too. In that agroforestry, what you can have to write the benefits of having agroforestry in another two three statements you can mention, then you can go to the next. So what will be the benefit of agroforestry? Like you can say that carbon sequestration. Okay, so carbon capture and trapping along with the crop fields is also done by the trees. No, crops you will just harvest. Once when the cycle ends, you will harvest it, but trees remains there. And if it is a fruit tree, it is going to yield a lot of benefit to the farmer. Along with the crops, his livelihood will also be enhanced, and even certain types of trees will also provide fuel, okay, fodder, and even fruits to the farmers. And not only that, it also increases fertility of the soil in certain kind of trees, which is acting like I can say that biofertilizer. Biofertilizer, because of the symbiotic association of certain microorganisms, especially the bacteria which is living in their root. So when these trees are planted in the farmland, a farmer need not supply NPK fertilizer to the farm. Instead, this tree will replenish the fertility of the soil naturally. So it is acting as a biofertilizer. For example, not last before year, 2 3 years before, there was a question related to neem tree in your prelims. And when they mention about neem tree, it is also acting biofertilizer. One hand, and even the stick, the moringa tree. They have asked us moringa tree. This only I thought of discussing. Moringa, it's a deciduous tree. Again, it's a leguminous tree. Okay, this is we already said no. The leguminous plant which has the symbiotic bacteria living in the root nodules. So this point and all nobody will write. When you're writing this point, it will be totally different. If they're trying to write, they will say that additional livelihood only provided to farmers. Farmers will get fit because of supplies of fuel fodder, Okay, it will capture carbon sequestration will take place. And so apart from that, you can mention that it is acting as a fertilizer to the, okay, so that is very important point in case of agroforestry. And also few more points you can surf out and add it in the agroforest program. Then come to the next program. Okay, the Aravalli Green Wall project, the Aravalli Great Green Wall or Aravalli Green Wall. Generally, the Great Green Project is done in Africa by the international body UNCCD, but Aravalli Green Wall project is done by uh, India. The Ministry of Environment and Forest is responsible for doing this project. This is very important with related to the forestry interventions. This was recently started, okay, in 4 states, starting from Gujarat, Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana. It covers this area, the Aravalli ranges. The 5 kilometer buffer area near the Aravalli ranges is targeted in this project, through this project, I can say. Means what? They are going to construct a wall or something? No. They are going to develop green corridors across that Aravalli ranges. As we all know, frequent articles is appearing in the newspaper related to the degradation of land of the Aravalli ranges, near the Aravalli ranges. Okay, so this is keep on spreading, then what will happen? Already we have a desert. Then Aravallis also will turn to a desert one day. So in order to stop that, we are going to plant more trees and combat the desertification problem. Around 6 million hectare area of land, this will take place. The Aravalli Great Green Wall project will take place. What they will do, that is important while you are mentioning under this, planting of native tree species. Okay, that is not any other species. They are going to plant native tree species instead of simply planting some plantation trees or some beautiful trees, ornamental trees. They are going to plant native species. As I already told, when they asked about Miyawaki forest in your preliminary paper, I discussed about Miyawaki forest. I also said that That is a small urban forestry which is developed by a Japanese Miyawaki, and everyone is trying to, even in India also we have constructed Miyawaki forest. In that Miyawaki forest itself, we brought native species inside. Miyawaki forest, we brought native species. Why native species? Because native species only will derive, the pollinators. The respected pollinators will be attracted, and the seed dispersal will happen, and the forest will spread quickly. Okay, so this way we can say native species is very important, and this Aravalli Green Wall project, not only we are planting native species, but we are also trying to regenerate the surface water bodies, not groundwater, surface water bodies such as ponds, lakes, streams, all this will be taken care. So apart from doing this, the project is so not only protecting the native tree species, but also the water bodies. But the project will also focus on agroforestry and pasture development. Okay, so it will focus on agroforestry and pasture development to enhance the livelihood of the local community. So this is the main intention of Aravalli Great Green Wall project. And maybe in the exam, we expected this year in prelims, they would definitely ask this question, but it was not there. Since they have already asked about the Great Green Wall project. So anytime there is a possibility of asking this, because we may mistake, this was also done by UNCCD only, but it is done by India. Ministry of Environment Forest is doing that. The main, then like how you gave some important benefits of agroforestry, you can give 3 points related to this project, what it is going to do, what benefits it's going to bring. So it is improving the ecological health, okay, improving the health of the ecosystem, especially the Aravalli ranges, and even mainly I told you, no, eastward expansion of Thar Desert is happening now. So to stop that only we brought this project. So that you have to definitely mention. So this the green corridor is going to act like a barrier, okay, that prevents the soil erosion and desertification and even dust storms, because from nearby the Thar desert, lot of dust storms is wiping away this vegetation in the Aravalli ranges. So this is a major benefit of developing this project. Apart from this, by doing this, we also increases carbon sequestration. Okay, and we also try to enhance the biodiversity. These are all important points which you have to be mentioned under this. So to enhance the biodiversity and ecosystem services of the Aravalli range is enhanced, okay, by planting the native species, right? And local community involvement or participation is another important thing to be underlined under the Aravalli Green Wall project. That's it. So how will you conclude this? So this additional information you can read. So this project will be executed by stakeholders, like central government will be there, state government will be there, forest departments all get involved, even the research institutions, even the CS, NGOs, everyone, even the common man, local community will also get involved in this project. So this way we are trying to address the UNCCD. Yes, Rashid Khan. Yeah, sorry. Very good evening. Thank you, Uma. So she has said like well structured answer. Good. Thank you much. Yes, students, this we will continue like this. Okay, Rashid. So you're attending my first time. So good. So please check my previous classes also, and you will more idea and more inputs related to the previous classes are done in ethics, not in environment. This is the first class in environment. Okay. So then, in this way, we are trying to stick to the convention. So when you are writing this answer, nobody will touch this. They will just say what that program is about, what that project is about. When your answer want to be unique, you have to connect it with the convention which is supporting that answer. And so in this way, we are trying to stick to the convention of UNCCD, CBD, UNFCC like this. Okay, so this way your answer has to be there, and while you're concluding, you have to give, yeah, this is a very new initiative, thus the government of India trying to enhances forest cover, at the same time addresses the land degradation problem through this, the forest interventions, like the same national action plan to combat desertification and land degradation through forest interventions. That way you have to write and complete your answer. Since it's a very straightforward question only, but once when you know about the programs only, you can give the programs inside. So you need not write a fancy introduction and fancy conclusion in case of environment. Case of environment, it should be introduction and conclusion should be very simple, but the body should have all the weightage. Body should have carry the weightage. Okay. So now we'll go to the last question. So you, as before that, if you join Sriram's, you can use the code Sriram's to avail the benefit of flat 25%. So that's why we have put that slide here. This is the last question. What is land degradation neutrality? Ensuring women can own and inherit land is imperative for reducing desertification and achieving the land degradation neutrality. 2030 agenda. Discuss. So see, this is a straightforward question. Maybe this year it is not appearing. Next year there is a lot of possibility of appearing, because 2030 is the target year for the land degradation neutrality, or even in 2005 they will be asking. But this year there is a different initiative which was taken by the body, the convention UNCCD. Okay, UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification is there, no? So they have taken a different intervention. Initiative. They have taken a different initiative with respect to the land degradation neutrality. We call this as LDN. I hope you would have definitely read somewhere. So sometimes asking like this. Even one time, very 2-3 years before only, they asked, what is wetlands? Everyone, what is wetland? So far we have traveled long, whenever we start an environment session, there is definitely something called as wetland. So we know how to frame an answer, but land degradation neutral, sometimes you doesn't know what it is, what they are talking, because if you have not read about it, you will never know about it. So it's a very straightforward question. So here there are two parts in this question. One is the what is straightforwardly, you have to write 3-4 statements and conclude the answer. Second is talking about connecting women with land. Okay, so this year where UNCCD started propagating that, celebrating the Women's Day. So that time they said, her land, her right. That was the tagline they have proposed. And they said that women has to inherit the land. Women also should have equal right in inheriting the land. Even many countries, almost 80 countries, women are not having any right to claim husband's property itself. Land property they cannot claim. So based on that, this article appeared in a very important source magazine. From very frequently UPSC is taking environment from that magazine. From that only I have taken this particular topic. If it appears, it's our luck. Even if it not, it will help us in any other way. Okay, so don't think that okay, this question should appear in not in that manner, but it makes you prepare to have a 360-degree perspective of environment. Even you can use this data somewhere when you are addressing certain question which is in the exam. So what is this land degradation neutrality which is proposed by UNCCD? So first you are going to write land degradation neutrality. That is halting and reversing the degradation of land. That we call as land degradation neutrality. Simple words if I want to say. Halting and reversing the land degradation. Okay, so here the first part you can directly start. You need not give any introduction part and all, need not separate anything. First you have to just write what is land degradation neutrality. Then you can write a formula. I told you, nowadays formulas will secure more mark. So you can write LDN is equal to halting. That means 0 plus plus. Okay, that is stopping. Halting land degradation, and reversing, that means again you are trying to bring the vegetation back. So this is a positive approach we can say. So halting and reversing the land degradation, that is called as land degradation neutrality. And generally, this UNCCD has defined it as, see this, a state whereby the amount and quality of land resources necessary to support ecosystem function and services to enhance food security should remain stable, or it should increase within specified temporal and spatial scales. That means that is called halting, remain stable. Okay, so far you have done a destruction, so at least hereafter you should not destroy more, so that is stable. Or it has to reverse back, that means you are trying to bring in more vegetation to stop the degradation, that is increasing. Okay, so this is a proper definition which is given for LDN. You can also use this definition, but generally if you doesn't remember the definition, you can write that halting and reversing back the land degradation is called as land degradation neutrality. So now connect, ensure women, see this second part, ensuring women can own and inherit land is imperative, is very important for reducing the desertification problem and achieve the land degradation neutrality. So women are very important and a driving force to achieve this LDN target, 2030 target. This is how question is there. They are asking you to discuss. You have to discuss the points related to that. So how we are connecting women to land degradation neutrality? Why women, if they come, we can achieve the land degradation agenda? Why we are saying like that? Because, so these are additional information for LDN. Okay, so you can use this when you are discussing about land degradation neutrality. These are some, suppose that is a separate question related to land degradation neutrality. You have to use these additional points. Okay, so now we'll come to our question. Women, if you take most, I already told you, most of the countries, women are already, discriminated even in agriculture sectors. So they are contributing equally like men. Most of the household, if you see, rather than men, women are the agricultural workers. They will go to farmland, they will cultivate the crops, they will harvest, they will bring it back. Men will go out of the house to work, in the urban areas to earn money. So women will look after the farms. But what happens if a husband dies? This land does not belong to that woman. It goes back, she cannot inherit from her husband. Only the children is going to inherit from the father. So that's a problem in most of the countries, which is happening. No, it's happening currently. So they say that women who contribute equally for the farming in the farmland in the agriculture sector, why she cannot participate equal manner by inheriting the land, and such that land neutrality completely can be halted. What is the reason? Because women are almost half of the agricultural workforce, if you see, are women only, and they are mainly responsible for producing up to 80% of the foods in developing countries. If you take in the developing countries, 80% of the food products, the foods are grown by women only. So when a woman is there in the farm, she knows how to manage that farm. She know how to stop this degradation problem. She know how to use the fertilizer, how to protect the fertility of the soil. Every idea she will have, because she is the one who is stepping on that, mud. We say, no, you cannot put a slipper or something. And because they pray, they worship this as a god, the cultivation land as a god. So you have to remove your slippers. You have to get down on bare legs and you will be cultivating. So they become one with the land. The farmers become one with the land. So they know what type of climatic conditions is prevailing, what type of soil is there, how much water you have to use, how much fertilizers you have to use. This way efficiency will get increased and the fertility will not get degraded. The main problem is that only overuse of fertilizers, use of water. So this is a major problem. So that's why they are saying the women getting access, lower access to all the natural resources, financial resources, technologies, everything comparative to men, has to given right by inheriting the land. If she is given the land, if she has the land, she possesses the land, she know how to protect that land. Okay, so this way, that how Gandhiji has said, if you educate a woman, you educate a society. Same way, if you give the land to a woman, the entire society can be protected. What they are coming to say. And UNCCD has long before has introduced this. Almost UNCCD came into force in 1996, but around 2017 only, if you see, this has been introduced, this gender specific initiative related to LDN. The gender action plan has been introduced by UNCCD during its 13th meeting only. Even UNCCD has realized later, but now it is propagating in a higher manner that women has to have her rights of acquiring land, and that way LDN can be easily achieved. Because she get access to land and natural resources, she through this, because she is the one who is the one connecting point with the children's in the family. She takes care of the entire family. So in this way, she improves the health and nutrition. She can use the poverty. She can also restore the ecosystem. I told you, she knows what to do in the farm, because men are the one who are outside. They doesn't know in most of the family. She is the one who is going in her behalf of the family and activating. And if she has the right, she know how to protect it. Okay, so this way she can minimize the negative effects of climate change, and she can she can reduce the degradation of the land. So this way your answers has to be, and when you're concluding, you have to say yes, this way the women has to be given the inheritance, land inheritance, in order to reduce the LDN. In order to reduce LDN and achieve the LDN, not reduce the LDN, not to reduce the land degradation and achieve the land degradation neutrality 2030 agenda. That's it. Keep the intro and the conclusion part in a very simple manner. And if you want to write a very complex introduction, then you can write some points related to LDN, how it is connected to UNCCD and all. Okay, so in that way you can start this question. Then you can define what is LDN. Then you can conclude this question by saying that yes, now the women's right has also to be ensured, and it should be gender mainstreaming should be taken. And in this way we can try to achieve the LDN agenda. Okay, thank you all. We'll meet again in the next session. So until that, you can prepare with these inputs related to the first part of our discussion. Then another 4 more parts are remaining. So we'll meet again. Thank you all. Good night.